Welcome to the Archive Network. I'm Aurelius, and with me as always Malik. We curate the Conflict Archive. Today we open a new file, Napoleonic Wars. Malik, you've had this one on your desk for a while. Imagine standing in a candlelit palace, the air thick with the scent of wax and fear. Outside, armies gather in the dark, and inside, rulers whisper. Everyone waits for a spark. This was Europe at the dawn of the 19th century, unsettled and anxious. The French Revolution had sent shockwaves through every royal court from Vienna to London. The old order was crumbling.
Aurelius, that candlelit palace is more than just a backdrop. It reflects the palpable tension, the fear that permeated society. The revolution wasn't just a political event. It was a major shift for the common people. The guillotine's shadow didn't just loom over kings and courtiers. It terrified ordinary citizens as well. When the old certainties crumble, everyone feels the tremors.
Precisely, and from that chaos emerged one figure above all, Napoleon Bonaparte. Once a mere Corsican officer, he commanded the gaze of the continent. His victories turned him into a legend. But let's not forget, this was a fragile peace, held together by the Treaty of Amiens in 1802. Beneath the surface, distrust simmered.
You call it peace, but it was more like a truce. The Treaty of Amiens was a temporary patch on a bulging wound. In London, warships prepared for conflict, while the streets buzzed with anxiety. The Royal Navy's blockade affected merchants and everyday citizens. It wasn't just politics. It was life and death for many. That tension was palpable.
Absolutely. British warships lined the channel, cannons primed and ready for action. Each ship that returned brought tales of French maneuvers, heightening our collective anxiety. The blockade transformed the sea into a battleground, a constant reminder of our impending conflict. Meanwhile, the Holy Roman Empire was showing signs of unraveling. Its armies were fractured, struggling to maintain cohesion, and the echoes of its former glory felt increasingly distant. It's a stark reminder of how quickly empires can erode.
But the unraveling wasn't just about politics. It was about the suffering of ordinary people. Forced levies and ruined harvests weighed heavily on peasants. The glories of the past faded, drowned in the mud of battlefields and the clatter of muskets. When empires crumble, the burden falls on those who have the least. The human cost is staggering.
You're not wrong. Farther east, Russia stood watchful and wary. Tsar Alexander I waited his next move carefully. His advisors debated Napoleon's brilliance, pondering the threat he posed to their vast empire. Outside, soldiers trained relentlessly in the bitter cold, knowing the next conflict could very well come to their doorstep. This simmering tension was just the beginning, a mere whisper of the storms to come in this grand saga of power and ambition.
But let's not forget the people of France. Napoleon promised order through the Code Napoleon, yet in the countryside, young men were conscripted against their will. Mothers said goodbye with mixed emotions. Some felt pride while others experienced despair. The promise of order came at a terrible cost, one that many were not prepared to pay.
Napoleon crowned himself emperor in 1804. That ceremony dazzled the world, but it also posed a challenge. An upstart soldier claiming a throne raised eyebrows. Austria was busy rebuilding its armies, while Prussia hesitated, caught in a web of ambition and dread. Meanwhile, Ottoman troops marched on, wondering whether their next threat would come from France or Russia. This was a time when uncertainty reigned, and the balance of power hung by a thread.
That crowning was a symbolic act that really shook traditional power structures. In Spain, you could feel the resentment simmering just beneath the surface, a tension that threatened to boil over. Meanwhile, in Italy, dreams of unity were faced with the harsh reality of hunger and fear. Displaced families fought daily to hold on to their lives, struggling to find food and shelter, while bandits roamed the roads, preying on the vulnerable. The ordinary people caught in the crossfire of these grand ambitions bore the brunt of it all.
The year 1803 saw the Peace of Amiens begin to unravel. British ships prowled the channel, their cannons loaded and ready. Suspicion filled the crowded markets in Hamburg and Amsterdam, where whispers of betrayal lingered on every street corner. The air thickened with rumors of secret coalitions and invasion plans. We could feel the tension rise as the old order held its breath, bracing for the inevitable disaster that history was all too eager to deliver.
And it wasn't just the rulers who felt this dread. Picture that crowded coffeehouse in London, where a pamphleteer reads the latest news from France. Faces are pale, hands clutching mugs of bitter coffee. The fear of war looms over everyone, from soldiers to mothers waiting for sons. That moment captures the anxiety of an entire continent.
The question was no longer if war would come, but when. Everyone knew the powder keg was packed with ambition and suffering, just waiting for a spark. The night before the storm, Europe held its breath. The cold seeped into our bones, and fear wrapped around us like a heavy cloak. We waited, anxious and restless, knowing the tide was shifting. Empires thrive on tension, and now they were preparing for their own upheaval. What would come next was anyone's guess.
That's where we leave it for now. Part 1 of 5, Napoleonic Wars, is far from done. If you're new here, we're Aurelius and Malik, curators of the Conflict Archive, part of the Archive Network. Part 2 drops soon.